Good morning, students. Welcome to today's class. Today we will learn few topics in chapter 1 experimental techniques. The topics are simple distillation, fractional distillation and paper chromatography. The simple distillation is a method used to obtain the solvent from a solution. The apparatus is shown on the right. Please look into the figure. It could be used to obtain water from salt water. For example, heat the solution in the flask. As it boils, water vapor rises into the condenser, leaving the salt behind. The condenser is cold, so the vapor condenses to water in it. The water vapor when condenses, it cools and becomes liquid. So the water drips into the beaker. It is called distilled water. It is almost pure water. You could get drinking water from seawater by this method called simple distillation. Next is the fractional distillation. This is used to separate mixture of liquids from each other. It makes use of their different boiling points. So it works under the principle the mixture of two liquids, those who has two different boiling points. The steps involved are: first, heat the mixture in the flask as shown in the figure on the right. At about 78 degrees Celsius, the ethanol begins to boil. So the boiling point of ethanol is 78 degrees Celsius. Some water evaporates too, as evaporation takes place at all temperature. So a mixture of ethanol and water vapors rises up in the column. The vapors condense on the glass beads in the column, making them hot. When the beads reach 78 degrees Celsius, ethanol vapor no longer condenses on them. Only the water vapor does, because water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, as we all know. So water drips back into the flask, but the ethanol vapor goes into the condenser. So in condenser, it condenses. Pure liquid ethanol drips into the beaker. Eventually, the thermometer reading rises above 78 degrees, a sign that all the ethanol has gone. So we can stop heating. And in the flask remains the water, and in the beaker we get ethanol. Thus, the mixture of two liquids is separated. Paper chromatography is a method can be used to separate a mixture of substance. For example, you could use it to find out how many different dyes there are in black ink. First, place a drop of black ink in the center of some filter paper. The figure is shown on the top. Let it dry. Then add 3 or 4 drops on the same spot in the same way. Now drip onto the ink spot. Drip water onto the ink spot, 1 drop at a time. The ink slowly spreads out and separates into rings of different colors. Suppose there are 3 rings, yellow, red and blue. This shows that the ink contains 3 dyes, namely yellow, red and blue. Thus the black ink contains 3 dyes. So the different dyes are separated at different rates. Three practice questions are given here. Kindly go through the questions and go through the textbook. Please find out the answer and write in your classwork. At the end of chapter 1, write the answers in the notebook. That is, the practice questions are given. So please write the answers in the class notebook. Study well, stay safe and healthy. Thank you, students.